You're watching Weekend at Gabe's and I'm Weekend Gabe. This latest episode was brought to you by the good folks over at the Ghetto Flower. Use our code W at G for an exclusive 15% discount when visiting their site. Tell them I sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Let's get to our next guest. She is the creator of the brand new EP, Riding Waves with Boys. It is a pleasure to introduce her, Sky, onto the show on Weekend at Kids. Good evening.
Yeah. Hey guys.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going grand. How are you guys?
Listen,
Doing all right, man.
Thanks for inviting me, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I for one have been following your music for I think about a year now, and I'm just incredibly impressed with everything that you're putting out. So thank you for taking the time to come on and share your energy with us. This is awesome.
Oh my God, thank you, Sam. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I'm happy that you found me and you reached out. And yeah, again, thanks for bringing me on. And Gabe.
Of course.
Gabe, right? Okay. Well, nice to officially meet you. Where's my $400 check? Is this only for Illinois? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It was several years ago that there was a Facebook lawsuit. You had to be regularly on Facebook back then, and you had to sign up for your shit.
Well, I'm salty. Oh, I missed the boat.
I missed it too, and I live here. Yeah. So I got family members like, yo, I got $3.97 today from Facebook. Fuck all y'all. I'm like, damn.
Yes, I would have been shopping tonight.
Because me and my wife both were frequently on Facebook 3 years ago. In the last 12 years, we could have that'd been $800. You know, like that'd been man.
Yep. That'd been a come up actually. Wow. Okay, Facebook.
we could have got cheese on our burgers this week, man. Salty. Salty. But let's get to your new record, Riding Waves with Boys. It dropped late last year. It's phenomenal. It's short, but it's so impactful.
Oh, she got the cassette with her. She got the cassette with her, Gabe.
Wow, you gotta put that out. Come on.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, sound effects. Let's go.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that because that leads into my first question of the night. So you embrace the retro pop girl title. A lot of your videos have this retro feel to like MTV's 1980s. The performance videos, the palette, the color palettes that you're using, they're bright, they're rich. You're singing and vibing with the camera. Talk about what your attraction is to that period of time in music and why you're sort of redefining and recreating it.
Great question. I think that there's a lot of different things that have really attracted me to specifically, that decade, the 80s, which I obviously didn't live there. I was born in the 90s. I'd have to say it kind of all in a weird way traces back to like late 90s, early 2000s pop, which is interesting because it was really through like listening and like getting into Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, was a super fan, as a child, and just watching their interviews and realizing their inspirations, Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. And once I, got into early Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, it was kind of like this sort of epiphany where I just realized this is just it's so cool. It's so impactful. I was so inspired. And then that kind of crescendoed a little bit around 2015 when I really, really got into more like post-punk, new wave, 80s. So not as much like the pop stuff, but more dark wave, really into The Cure, going into their entire discography. And that was another epiphany for me because I was like, okay, I love these both so much. I want to merge this into like kind of a hybrid of pop, new wave, that really fun stuff, but also a little bit of hint of darkness. Yeah, that's really what has got me into that and why I've been attracted to it. And then also just other elements aesthetically, in terms of like how the music videos looked, the fashion to me was so fun. And it was so, it was more of that idea, which is still here now. Everybody's still thrifting and going to vintage shops. But I think in the 80s specifically, people were having so much fun with it. It felt a little bit fresher and newer because a lot of these looks hadn't been done before. So I think like even looking at some of those looks now, you're like, whoa, you're blown away compared to some of the looks that you see today, because it seems a little overdone. So I like just like going on Google and just like looking at image after image after image after image of, these old teenagers in their bedrooms, and just I'll nerd out on it for a while, and I'll just absorb it and try to reinterpret it in my own way, in my terms of fashion.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the fashion, but let's first get into the music videos because you touched on it there. You went to art school in Chicago.
Yes, I went to
Columbia College. Gabe is also an alumni of Columbia College. Shout out to all of our interns this semester from Columbia College. Incredible people. Talk about your creative process with a music video, because it seems that you are very hands-on. You are very in control of what these things look like, especially with the fashion and things like that. On your website, you're showing the posters of the Riding Waves with Boys with the lighter, which I think is an absolutely beautiful poster. Tell us about what goes into your mind as you say, I have this new song, let's make a video for it.
Yeah, well, I guess I would have to start at the beginning, which for me was about 2012. That's when I moved to Chicago, and I really had just started. I had just bought a mic. I had just bought a MacBook. I had known since I was a child that I really wanted to make music, and I had taken lessons and all that, but I hadn't really got into recording. So basically, after I started getting into recording, I started just kind of hitting up film majors and just people who were into film in Chicago, and just asking, hey, would you be willing to make a music video for me and things like that. And so basically that ended up being about 4 or 5 years of just kind of trying to find people to help me with visuals. And I learned, it was a hard learning process, because for the most part I was broke this whole time. I was using every dime I had to try to of course pay a little bit to these directors, and I ended up hating all the visuals. I just thought they weren't me. The directing style wasn't me. It just ended up being
is it like conflicting visions, or is it you just feel better when it's in your control?
It's a little bit of both, because, when you do make music videos with other people, unless you're sitting there, which you're not, most likely 9 times out of 10, watching them pick all the footage, they're going to pick the footage that looks good to their eye and the footage that they think looks good to them, not what the artist thinks looks good to them. You're going to get a cut, and you can't, for the most part, say I want you to change this, because they're like, write me a check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also, I like to be in control, because no one's going to see your vision how you see it.
Right.
And so basically in the end, I realized the most beneficial thing for me was to just start making my own visuals. So I kind of, started around 2016, 2017, just having my friends help me just as camera assistants. And I would just tell them exactly what to do, and then just go back and edit everything myself.
Word. Does that get taxing on friendships? You're playing the director hat, but you also got to take them to Arby's later. We were talking about
right. It is that. That's hilarious. I just recently shot a video, a month and a half ago, which I'm going to be putting out soon. And basically I asked one of my old coworkers, I was like, hey, can you help me with this? I'll buy you lunch. So that is kind of how it goes right now. Hopefully in the future that'll change though.
Word. Word. Let's. Oh wait, hold on. One more question, Gabe, because I want to touch on the fashion a little bit. Where you talked about the '80s, you talked about being inspired. I think it's super fascinating that you just go back and look at old teenager photos. Gabe, look at me. That's what you need to be doing, buddy. Get your stuff up. Get your stuff up.
Listen, I don't think I have any besides yearbook photos. There's really not that many teenage photos of me out there. So
you gotta dig those up. I'm loving the hair, by the way. It's giving me a vibe. Yeah,
that's all. It's all natural, baby. He has the best hair on the show. Anyways, so I mean, where does your eye? We talked about the eye in the music video, but certainly you have an eye for fashion. You certainly have an eye for clothes. where do you attribute that from? I mean, it can't just spring from just going back and looking at old photos. Surely you must have been inspired somewhere along the line by somebody.
You know, it's interesting because this is going to sound funny because my fashion isn't anything like this, but I would say my love for fashion didn't start until I think I was in eighth or ninth grade, and this is going to be hilarious, but the show The
Let's go.
Hills came
The
out.
Hills.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm from the Midwest, so I'm from Michigan. So you know how it is. Everything comes like 10 years later. So I was obsessed with The Hills. I was also very, very obsessed with everything pop culture in regards to e-news. So I was just like a little girl in my room in Michigan, just like e-news, The Hills. What is this? Let's go. And I basically would just like watch the shows, and I would watch the girls, and they just love fashion like so much, and that made me inspired to just like get into clothes on a whole different level. So
Right.
that's basically, so I was like in high school, it's like freshman, sophomore year, and I just started dressing crazy. And my goal was to just have everyone in my high school be like, what the fuck? So that's basically when I just started thrifting all the time. And yeah, it took a really long time to really mold into like the fashion that I'm into now in my quote unquote look, because I think it takes a while, you know, once you start loving fashion to really identify what's best for you and what you really love.
Would you say that's the core nugget of what you still do to this day, is just try to make everybody be like, what the fuck?
No, today I'm more, you know, into just creating timeless looks. So looks that, you know, will really just read as timeless, and also just things that to me seem more original. And then also, you know, of course, in the back of my mind, like sustainability is always something that's on the forefront of my brain, you know. So just like not buying fast fashion and really just thrifting everything vintage as much as possible.
Word.
Let's get into the EP a little bit. My favorite record is "Riding Waves with Boys." I love the just the production on that, the vibe, the
Thank you.
feel, the video matches and pairs so well with what you're doing. I think it also kind of like to see when you're just like in the dark and then you're driving, kind of has very Pulp Fiction noir vibe or feel to it. So it just translates really well. Talk about like what that record meant to you.
Yeah, so Riding Waves with Boys was basically it's like kind of have to go into the whole thing to really get to it. So basically, I had started working on the record, which I didn't know the name of, you know, with one of my friends, Paris, here in LA. He's a bassist, and he's in a lot of really cool. He's played within a lot of really cool bands in LA that I really love, and so I was naturally drawn to him because he's also very much into 80s music and dance. So basically, I started making the record with him, and we had been working for maybe like 2 or 3 months, and we only had like one song. And I was like, you know, there's just like, I need to just kind of just go home, and I need to just start producing my own stuff because I'm like not getting where I want to get
Right.
musically. So which is kind of a recurring theme for me as an artist, it seems, because I'm always like going back to myself. But basically, I had started working on a couple different productions for the record, and Riding Waves with Boys was the second production I had started working on. And basically, I kind of just like in the moment too, in terms of like my personal life, I had felt like just like a lot of people kind of just like weren't taking me seriously. I felt like people just kind of like saw the image, but they didn't really get the fact that I was actually a musician and like I could produce my own stuff. And that I could create a really cool vibe with my music, and I could translate it thoroughly, and that Steve could see it through. So with Writing Waves with Boys, you know, I basically just started with like most of my productions, I really just start with like a basic drum and piano part. And then I basically just kind of start like writing over that. And Riding Waves with Boys, the title, it was actually something that I had wrote in 2016 with a friend of mine. It was like just a little lyric in a song, and I just was always kind of drawn to it because I just liked how it sounded. I thought it flowed. I thought it was really cool, and it also reminded me of the Drew Barrymore movie, Riding in Cars with Boys.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna reinterpret this, and I just started getting really into it, and I was like, kind of using it as like basically an FU song to everyone who just like didn't get the vibe. So then I just kept going and going, and then I thought the record turned out amazing. I produced it all myself. My friend in London, Will, he did like a little just like a little mix and master on it, but I was like, keep it simple because sometimes people like to mix your stuff into
they really mix it, don't they?
Yeah, I was like, keep it light. And then I had showed the EP to like a few of my friends who are all musicians, and they were like, oh, there's a fire truck, LA. But I showed it to a few of my musician friends, and they were really drawn to that record, and another record called "Do It Like the French." And they were
my
like,
favorite record, by the way. I would just say that.
Thank you. So I was like, you know what? Let's go with these two as the first two singles. Let's make music videos for this. And the third one, I'm just gonna see how the release goes and feel it out. And
You want to give us an exclusive as to what that next music video is?
Oh yeah, totally. So the next music video is for a track called "Raddest Bitch You Ever Met."
Listen, I knew it.
We gotta hit the siren when it's a Weekend at Gabe's exclusive. What? We love to see.
There's no bigger word in the '80s than saying "rad." So I all the sense in the world. I was there. I saw it. I said it.
Oh, you were there. You lived through it all.
Listen. It wasn't that great. Relax.
I know. It's never great in the moment until you look back, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you in China?
I was in California for my first 4 through 5. I think I was through age 5. I was in California, so I remember a lot of the skateboard culture when that was coming on. So I have a lot of vivid memories about that. Saying "rad" because there was a skateboard movie titled "Rad," and I think there's "Rad 2" as well. That you looked at.
Okay, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, hold on. I need both of those. I'm gonna go to F movies tonight. We're gonna get on Rad and Rad 2. Yes, please.
Amazing.
So rad they ran it back. You know?
Listen,
they had to do it part
2. It was begging for it. Like we gotta get it in before the '80s are over. You know.
Hilarious.
One of the other things I noticed about you, it's absolutely incredible how much you touch across the whole wave of your production. But one of the things that we see online from you quite a bit are these dance moves. You have incredible choreography on top of this other stuff. Where did you learn to dance like that? That's my first question, and then I have a follow-up.
Okay. A lot of people ask me that. They're like, "Did you take lessons when you were younger?" I never took dance lessons when I was younger. I've actually
just
only
E-News then.
just E-News, yeah, and glitter. That was it. No. Sorry, there's like so much commotion outside right now, but basically, I would just say, like, just being a huge music head and music fan, like, I just have been obsessed with music, like, no joke, since I was like 4. Like, so just listening to so much music and just being free to move your body, I think naturally you can learn to dance. I don't think that this is just my opinion. I don't think anybody needs lessons. I don't think anybody needs any of that. I think that you just have to listen to music for hours and just let go. That's what I did. And I feel like I know a lot of professional dancers. I'm friends with a lot of professional dancers. And I feel like I was able to get almost to their level because some of the hardcore choreography I can't do. It's going to take me a while to really digest it. But for the most part, just by listening to music for hours and hours and hours, I think you can really get there on your own. And that's what it did for me. That's as much as that one.
Just a note on that, there's always an exception that proves the rule. And Weekend Gabe, you need lessons, my friend.
Listen,
I've seen you
listen,
dance before, and I don't need to
listen.
see it again.
I got the 2-step down. I got the dice roll down, and I think I got the sprinkler down. So that's all you needed to
He
game
does.
right now.
He does hit a mean sprinkler. I got to be
Or,
honest with that.
or 10-2 right here. That's it. You know.
Yeah,
That's it.
I did take a few lessons like in the past few years, just out in LA because there's just so many cool classes you can take here. It's like why not? And why don't you push your boundaries?
Sure.
So I have taken a few lessons in the past few years, and it's been really fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. My follow-up question there is this online personality. We've talked to a lot of artists lately about just the online personality versus the human being.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this incredible open and sort of gregarious online personality. Does that scare you at all? Because it seems like, from an outside looking in, it's just pure confidence. And it's inspiring in a way a little bit, because it's not, you don't see that all over the internet all the time. Is there something you attribute that to, or is that something that you're trying to? We've had artists come on and talk about they want to put a barrier up between Eternity, the superhero that they've created, and then the human being.
Interesting. Yeah, there's this song, I forget what it is, but it's by Kanye. And basically, Kanye is obviously crazy, but a genius. And he basically says, like, in the song, like something along the lines like, "This isn't like a facade. This is me. Like what you see on TV, like what you see on the TV. Like this is me." I feel like the same way. I feel like everything I put online is really just me. I'm this way in real life. Like if you were to see me out wherever, and you talk to me, like you're gonna get that experience, because honestly, like that's just me. I've always been kind of like an artist, quirky, weird, out there, sometimes awkward, which I feel like translates to my social media. Although I guess, with social media, obviously it's going to always be a curated version of that.
Right.
But yeah. Was that your question? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that was a good answer, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's a different answer than we've gotten from most people, so I do appreciate it. Anything else, Gabe, before we head out here?
No, I thought I saw one of your tweets that you're going to be hitting the road soon. You going on tour?
I am not going on tour. I'm manifesting tour.
There you go. Maybe that's what it was. All right, got it.
Yeah, no problem. But I am going to Europe for the summer. So I am going to be out of the country, and I'm going to be working on my new the next project.
You got a title yet in mind, or that's coming soon?
I had a working title in mind, but I'm not going to use it anymore.
Okay.
It was called Glam Girls. Because I think Writing Waves with Boys was kind of in an energy of relationships, reclaiming power, talking to the boys. And I think this next one's going to be more for the girls.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, Eternity, thank you so much for joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's Riding Waves with Boys. The EP is out on all digital streaming platforms. Head over to our website as well and get a physical copy. You want to show us the tape again? And you can put that into your tape deck if you own one of those 80s man-made devices.
You better get one. Come on. Analog is dead, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you, Gabe. And thank you, Sam. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. And Chicago love forever.
Yeah, if you ever pass through, we can all go hunting for Arby's. That would be the move.
Okay, the curly fries. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's do it. All right, have a good night. Eternity Sky here on Weekend at Gabe, and that's going to wrap up our Thursday and also our week here on Weekend at Gabe's. Woo, Morty.
An incredible week, Gabe, and it's our first week back, my first week back for 3 weeks, and it has been a roller coaster, but I'm glad that we did it. I'm so glad that we had Eternity on. We had so many laughs with Alan. It was sort of like a Thursday Thunnies throughout, even though Eternity was very much about the music and content. It was good, witty repartee weekend, Gabe.
Yeah, I think like the humor from the first with Alan definitely carried over into the second. Maybe we might have to consider moving some things around.
Hey
We'll think,
man,
we'll,
hey
we'll think, we'll
man.
think,
You know,
we'll
everybody
think
loves
about
a format change, adding a little spice, adding a little flavor. We love to see it. We love to see
it. Tuesday Thunnies. How about that? We'll see how that goes.
it.
But man, but what lost in this wonderful week is that we had a 3-time and 1-time national champion Pro Football League player on the team on the show. That is
Incredible, man.
still incredible that we were able to nab Sammy Gasafi for the show. And how many other times are we going to ever get someone who stars in their own documentary on the show? I don't know, but
Man, I hope at least a few more because there are so many documentaries and they all need to be made.
there definitely are so many documentaries. Sometimes I'm like, why do you have documentary? Like, who are you? But like good for you though, man. I'm pretty hey, tell your story. Don't hold back. All right, well that's our show tonight on Weekend at Gabe. Don't forget to give us a follow on these socials at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's the Real Sam Crane, the Ghetto Flower. Head over to the Ghetto Flower today. Use our coupon code W@G for 15% off all purchases of $50 or more. And enjoy your weekend. It's supposed to rain all over the weekend, so cool off, turn your AC off, and also the big 3 things to do, Sam. Share, support, and show love. And take us out with that house music.
You already know what it is, America. Go to theghettoflower.com right now. You can go check out the Garden playlist featuring music from Asar. Next week, we got Morgan Gold. We got more music. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I got to pause the music because it's Benny's birthday next week. Let's go. That's what we're talking about. He's turning 3 years old. We're turning up all week for that. Yes. You've seen him on the show before. You know him and you love him. Let's get it.
All right, we are out.
Thank you for watching the latest episode of Weekend at Games on YouTube, brought to you by the Ghetto Flower. Make sure to also click on the links in the description for more information to our guests and access to exclusive new music from the Ghetto Flower and so much more. Make sure to also like and subscribe to the show, and also continue to share, support, and show love by clicking on any of the links surrounding my head. Thanks for watching.